everyone. Welcome back to Behind Her Brand Leadership Talk. Today, I have a good friend, someone I have known for, oh my gosh, it's been some years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't
I don't
even
want to
know.
date ourselves, but it's been long.
10
um,
years?
I don't know how long has it
I
been.
don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah, because my son was little, and now he's
My
going to be
kids are
graduating
little
next
too.
year.
Yeah, my kids are
Okay.
gone.
Oh my gosh. It's been a long time. And her name, obviously, y'all see her name, Claudia Rodriguez. And it's funny, y'all, been doing a bunch of these interviews, and Claudia caught that my name was spelled wrong. I said, and she's an educator. So how I did that, I don't know. But I'm excited to have her here today. She is the founder of Cognitive Concepts. And we're going to talk a little bit about her background, lessons. You guys know how we love to do these interviews. So welcome, Claudia, to our platform today.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about who Claudia is.
Wow. The many facets of Claudia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's Claudia the mom, Claudia the wife, the the boss lady, if you will. So I started this company, Cognitive Concepts, back in 2013. So I think that's around the time we met.
Yeah, it was. Oh my
It was brand new. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, when I think about it, yeah, because Christian was only 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when the company started. And it really, people ask me, how did you start your company? Well, it really started me. And in order for me to tell you a little bit about that, I have to backtrack. So I was
Yeah.
a classroom teacher for many years
Mhm.
and really enjoyed that. My kids were little. I have three kids, Alex, Diego, and Kristen, and my husband, Patrick.
Mhm.
And so came to the point where being in the classroom and being a wife and being a mom was too much. The demands of the job, it's such a
Yeah.
big job,
Yeah.
really kind of made me feel like I needed to take a step back. I think it was the day that my son said, I know you can't come to open house, mama, because you've
Mm.
got to go to your kids' open house.
Oh,
And that hit me.
yeah.
That really did hit me. Yes, I have my students were my kids, but my kids are my kids. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so that kind of hit me. It even still gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. And
Mhm.
that's when my husband and I talked about me staying home. And so I decided to stay home, but I really didn't because then Region 10 started calling for me to come and do some trainings and things. And so
Yeah.
that's in a just a little bit about me. I love my family. I love what I do. I work with English learner students, and it's
Yeah.
just a tidbit about me.
Well, let me ask, okay, one bit that you just mentioned that I want to hone in on before I jump into everything else. When you made that decision to stay home, for a lot of women, they've been in that, whether it's educator, corporate
Yeah.
America, whatever it might be. When you made that decision and you didn't have something built 100% at that point, describe to me what that decision making process looked like. Because obviously, I know for the reasons you mentioned about your child, but that's still a big, decision to leave a salary position, all the things. Walk me through that a little bit.
Well, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was a little scary, because as families, we're used to the things that we do. We go out to eat, we go and enjoy as a family a movie, and those things cost money. You have
Mm.
a house, you have these things. And although my husband has a great job, it was a bit scary. And
Yeah.
then also from the perspective that I've been working since I was 15 years old. So
Mm.
I've always been used to having my own money.
Yeah.
And to be honest, in 2013, when we made that decision, that was the second time that we had made that decision. The first time was when my daughter was born in 1999. I
Hmm.
decided to stay home with her, and that lasted all of 8 months because
Yeah.
when my husband would come home, I'd have these charts and graphs of where he was spending money. And
He's
and
probably
he
like,
I think you need to go get a job. I think you're bored.
yeah.
And so so I did. So
Yeah.
in 2013, I had flashbacks of doing those charts and graphs, and okay, I need to
Hmm.
find a different
Yeah.
way of staying at home. And I thought I would pour myself into my kids and
Hmm.
whatnot. And I did, but because Region 10 called, it was more of a consulting, outside consultant. So I did it only when I wanted to or
Yeah.
only when I could. And so, and that wasn't even in the books when we talked about me staying at home. So I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was a possibility. So we kind of
Nice.
took a leap of faith and trusted that God would just
Yeah.
make me feel like I was still contributing,
Right.
even though I wasn't working per se. Yeah.
So when you got to this point where you started doing it, sporadically, what led you to say, I want to start this as a business? Because I know you're very passionate about the work that you're doing. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that. Like what led you to that decision? And also, why are you so passionate about the work you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know me well enough to know that I don't really love the spotlight.
Yes.
Um, and a lot of times I do things, um, I feel like it's God prompting me, pushing me. I
Yeah.
don't really go, okay, I want to do this. Let me go do it.
Nope.
Um, yeah, I have to think about it. I have to plan about it. I have to look at all the pros and cons and how is this going to affect my family, my life. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened. I was getting calls not only from Region 10, but also from different book publishers that now had seen me at different conferences, and they also wanted to hire me to come do presentations for them. And so my husband was like, this is a business. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, it's not. And it really was. And so that's where we decided to go ahead and start cognitive concepts. And I true form to who I am. It started small, and I've kept it small because that's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Um, but I just love it, and I'm so passionate about the work that we do with teachers and districts and
Mm-hmm.
parents, simply because I grew up like that. I came to the United States when I was 7. I knew 3 words in English, and the 3 words were orange juice, please, because that's what my father told me when he put me on the airplane with my
Yeah.
sister. He said, if you get thirsty, ask for orange juice, please. So those were my first 3 words in English.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so we were enrolled in school, and um, I was enrolled in ESL pullout program, English as a second language, because I needed to quickly learn how to speak English and read and write. And granted, I was only in the first grade, but all of these things are so important to
Yeah.
the development of later in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think growing up as that second language learner, that
Mm-hmm.
gives me passion. There's so many other kids
Yeah.
out there that are going through what I went through. I want to help those teachers. And if I were to tell you the year that I came, I'm 19s,
Yeah.
uh, there was not a lot out there, not a lot of resources, not a
Yeah.
lot of training for teachers, just not a lot out there for that. And
Yeah.
so um, I remember struggling in the 8th grade with math. I was a very smart young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was 8th grade and I was in algebra 1, but I was struggling in algebra 1, and not because of the math, but because of the language.
Mm-hmm.
And as I now knowing everything I know, I sit and I think about being in that classroom, and that teacher didn't use any of the strategies that we have today, probably because he didn't have them back then.
Right.
And
Right.
so he wasn't able to help me. So I think about all the kids like me sitting in 8th grade algebra that could benefit from this and could do so much more. We need more Latinos and Blacks in
Yeah.
STEM type of careers, but it
Yes.
starts with the younger kids, and
Yeah.
so that's where my passion lies. I want to help the next generation,
Mm.
and also I want to help them keep their native language, because what a gift! What a gift
Yes.
to know 2 languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
So
what has been some of the struggles with that? Because, especially maybe even more so now with the political climate being so different now, and we don't really ever go into that on these kind of things, but just I know
yeah,
education is being affected.
yeah.
So, how do you handle different challenges in the work that you do and offering the services that you do? Because I know you mentioned earlier that your business is small,
Yeah.
but it's you've had a very consistent and good business over years. So, and I do want to, I'm gonna ping on that a little bit later though, because it's small, but it's very steady and stable. And
And
that's,
nationwide.
yes. Oh, okay. Nationwide.
I mean, my husband says I'm very humble, and it is
I
it,
love
it is a small business, but I do travel
it.
all over the U.S. teaching teachers and working with parents, and so I think that's a big imprint. Um,
Huge. You all
yeah,
say
even though the business is small. All right, so remind me of the question. What was
yes,
that?
yes. I'm gonna say, wait a minute, we're gonna get off that small. But anyways, no, what are some of the challenges
Oh,
you're
challenges. Yeah,
facing even now and how you're
yeah,
navigating them?
yeah. Of being in business now for 12, 13 years, 12 years. I've had
Yeah.
teachers tell me, I went to college to learn how to teach chemistry, not to teach second language acquisition. And so
Mm,
people get so set in what their content area is that they want to just teach that. But the
okay.
reality is that there's tons of language in chemistry
Okay.
that even the kids that are born here that only know English need to know all that academic language. And so, really, you're doing the kids a
Right.
disservice if you're not focusing on the language and the content. And so, that's the pushback
Hmm.
I get sometimes from teachers is, and not all, and it
Yeah.
depends where you're at, also, right? Not
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So it's truly, truly interesting work.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes our parents also don't understand why it's important to retain that native language, and they
Yeah.
just to put their kids in English only. And I understand that, but
Yeah.
the research shows that if kids can strengthen their native language, then it becomes easier to learn English because they have
Mm.
something to connect it back to.
And girl, yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, I just use research to help teachers and help parents understand why I'm so passionate about this.
With your kind of business, what has been some of the challenges and how have you overcame them in entering in schools? Because I know that schools have a very rigorous approval process for outside companies to come in, and you've navigated that pretty well. So can you share a little bit about your experience in that space?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is finding the people that want you there.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly becomes, and this is where I struggle because it truly becomes a who you know than
Mm.
what you know.
Yeah.
Um, and, and if you find people, I just had a district come on board, and the lady had to walk me step by step through that whole process of how to fill out all the paperwork to get into the system as a vendor.
Yeah.
They don't make it easy.
Right.
But if you have an advocate on the inside that loves the work that you're doing, then you build that partnership from the beginning, and you're able to do that. And I say I struggle with that only because, again, I shy away from the limelight, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to go to networking events. I just like to be in my bubble.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
truly necessary in business. You have to go to networking events. You have to make the connections in
Yeah.
order for your business to continue to grow or to even continue.
Period. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how have you grown personally, Claudia, just from the time that you started to now? What would you say has been some of your areas of like great growth?
I think I've seen myself from the outside looking in, and
Yeah.
I've seen the leader be born.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and it's truly been a progression where, when you're a classroom teacher, yeah, sure, you have leadership qualities, but you are the worker inside the classroom. You
Yeah.
are the worker inside the school. And so when you become a principal, you are truly the leader. But as you take a step out of the school and even out of the school system, and you're now getting to see like this huge view of what needs to happen in schools, I think you rise to the occasion of becoming a leader in order to help people. So I feel like I've just been fine tuning those leadership pieces and
Yeah.
becoming more of an advocate for the kids.
Mhm.
If and I tell myself all the time, I'm doing this for the kids um, that were like me when I
Yeah.
was little. And so if I continue to manage my business that way, then
Mhm.
any decision I make
Yeah.
has to be for the kids.
Yeah.
And even if they're painful ones, it has to be for the kids. So all that to tell you, I think I've grown in that. It used to bother me what other people thought and said and whatnot. And now I think it doesn't matter because I'm doing it for the kids.
Mm.
And if that is good,
Yeah.
everything else is good.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
yeah, and I wasn't that person before.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of growth just even in over the years. I mean, you can feel your confidence in a totally different way. I know before
Yeah.
you were like, yeah, no, what? I got to do what? Like,
Okay, I'm not doing that. You
and
said
so I just,
write your own. You told me one time, write your own dual language program. No, Kim, I'm not doing that. But two
yeah,
years ago, I did.
uh,
Now I only have one school district working on that, but still, I did. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, I love it, Claudia. Okay, this makes me have to go to lunch and talk some of this. I want to hear some of the great updates you're doing. And y'all just know when we go to lunch, a lot of times we're just like laughing and talking right in between. And but what I love about it, and that speaks to the next question I really want to ask you: relationship building. She and I have known each other, and I think it's important to share this too. We've had seasons where we're in
yeah,
contact and seasons when we're not, and the seasons where we're back in contact. But nothing has ever changed the connection. You know, when we get together, it's as no time has passed. And I believe that's because of how we started. We were very honest with each other. We talked about our families, and we
mhm.
just connected. And so that relationship has sustained over, well, now it sounds like over 10 years, you know, because Christian's about to
Yeah,
be 17 and your kids are
yeah,
out the house. So,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's crazy. Um, Relationships are important for what you do. And I
very much.
know that in working with the educational system, that's not always very easy to build connections because you have to kind of go through so many different gatekeepers and things of that nature. So how do you master that space? Because you do that very well.
I think that's a gift. To be honest with you, I do think that is a gift from up above that
Mm-hmm.
I have no control over. I'm just good with people. And I
Yeah.
think it's because I truly care about people. So it comes from a genuine space.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you and I have gone through seasons where we see each other, we don't see each other, but I think
Yeah.
the connection is genuine. So we come back to each other and it's like
Yeah.
we've never left. It's
Yeah.
like we haven't stopped seeing each other. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I try to build connections with other people. I'm just what you see is what you get. This is me. I'm not I'm not scheming. This is just me. I want to help the kids.
Yeah.
And I think when people see that genuineness and they see
Mhm.
that that's truly my heart, then they want to work with me.
Yeah.
And I always tell myself, simply because in other times when I've been in leadership roles and I've had people report to me, um, I've had people that are divas
Mm-hmm.
and they are great at what they do, but they know it. And so there's this diva quality about them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I always ask, please, please, please don't let me be a diva.
Mm-hmm.
Don't I want it to be easy to work with me. Don't
Yeah.
let it get to my head. Don't let me be a diva. I want to be great at what I do, but I want to be humble because I want to be workable, trainable. I want to continue learning. And
Yeah.
so I think that helps with the relationship. I don't come in as a know-it-all because I
Yeah.
don't know it all.
Yeah.
Um, and if we can learn from each other, then that's a great space to be in.
It is. It is. Have you ever
Mhm.
encountered a situation where someone did not want to collaborate or work with you, and but you still had to be in the same space? Like, how did you navigate that scenario?
Yes. Um, yes.
She's like,
Yeah. I did have a principal that did not, she was told, and I think that was the problem.
mhm,
She was told there's a consultant coming in. Her school was in trouble.
mm,
She was told there's a consultant coming in. You have to work with her. And nobody really took the time to say, hey, this is Claudia Rodriguez, and this is why we
mhm.
hired her. And it was just like, here, you got to work with her. So in her
Love it.
mind, she was resistant because
Yeah.
she didn't know who I was. She didn't know my background. She didn't
Mhm,
realize how I could help her. And honestly, if you think about it, when
mhm.
someone's telling you, hey, your school's in trouble, here, we're sending you some help, that's a
Yeah.
very hard,
Yeah.
that's a very hard pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I worked with her for 2 years. The third year, I didn't pursue it as much,
Mm-hmm.
because I could tell it wasn't a good fit. She still
Yeah.
didn't.
After two
She,
years.
yeah, she still didn't trust that
Yeah.
I brought something to the table, even though I had taken the time to explain my background and why I was there and so on and so forth. She still didn't trust. And I'm a big believer, and I pray about this all the time. Lord,
Mm-hmm.
bring me the business you want me to work with and take away the business you don't want me to work with. And so when business like that happens to just go away, I just say, okay, thank you. I know
Yeah.
something else will come.
Yeah.
And I don't sweat it because I know that something else is coming.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. But that's also a quiet strength, or not to say quiet, but bold strength, and your faith, obviously, but also even in just the quality of your work will always speak volumes for you.
Yeah.
People will always call. I mean, that's why, and I want to ask one question around this too. I know we mentioned about being small, but you've been very consistent and keep building. And you mentioned you don't do a lot of networking and a lot of different things, but how do you market to have the consistency of business that you've had for over a decade?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the reasons I stayed small for so long was because of my kids. My kids were growing up, and so their activities, their events went on my calendar first,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then whatever I could fit in work wise,
Yeah.
I was able to fit in work wise. Now they're gone, and so that's not an issue.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've had success with is presenting at different conferences. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've presented at TABE, which is the Texas Association of Bilingual Education. I've presented at NABE, which is the National Association of Bilingual Education. I've presented at La Cosecha, which is another national conference. I've
Mm-hmm.
also presented at one that's here locally called BEAM, which is
Yeah.
uh, yeah, you've heard of them, the
Mhm.
Bilingual Education Association of the Metroplex. So
Yeah.
I find conferences that it'll cost me money to go and
Yeah.
present, but
Yeah.
the return is great because you meet people want to work with you after they see you,
Yeah.
and so that's where kind of I get some of the connections, and start the conversations, and then
Mhm.
once you go and maybe teach at one of the schools, maybe another principal, the principal invites another principal to come and see you, and so then you know there's another connection, and so it's really a lot of word of mouth, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of showing up at conferences.
Yeah. But what I love when you share that, because I love all things marketing. There's not one way to do something, and I know, and many people often teach networking, networking, networking. But to me, it's not just about networking events. It's where are you showing up? What are the markets that you're actually being in? And you're very intentional, strategic about like you'll do networking, but it's how you do it. When you're speaking in front of a group of people, obviously, like you said, they're hearing your knowledge, and so you're
Yeah.
doing it in a way that fits more of your brand and your voice. So I love that you share that, and I wanted to say that because people listening today, sometimes people fall into cookie cutter ways of building. And I can't stand that. But I
Mm.
think there's just
Well,
so many
it
ways that
has
you
to
can
fit
build.
your personality. It has
Yes.
to fit your personality. Just a
Yes.
minute ago, we talked about social media, and I told you
Yeah.
I struggle with it,
Yeah.
um, because it's not my personality. And
Right.
so, but I am trying to figure out a way to reach parents because
Mhm.
I want to do some English as a second language classes for parents.
Oh,
So I'm trying to find a way to reach them. And then also there we have a lot of teachers, not teachers, teachers assistants
hmm,
in all sorts of school districts. They want to be teachers, but they don't have enough Spanish to be a bilingual teacher, or
okay.
they may not have enough English to be able to teach English and Spanish. So
Right.
I want to reach them as well and help them
Great.
achieve their dreams. Help them with
Yeah.
that language piece. So
Oh, that's a good
we're always
idea.
learning. We're always learning. So that's my next thing. Learning how to market to those people.
Hmm. That's a great marketing. Really good
Yeah.
marketing. Okay. I like that. All right. So, in closing thoughts, what is something that you would share with? I'm a professional woman listening. She may not be in education. She may just be like a lot of women that we've found have listened to these. They may not be in the same industry, but they just love gleaning some different insights. But what would you
Yeah.
say to someone that feels like I'm stagnant, I'm not growing, and I'm feeling like I either want to quit or I'm just feeling very frustrated? What would you say to them?
Man, being in business is a lot about reinventing yourself.
Ooh,
Um, and
yeah.
so don't give up. Just think about, okay, what can I offer? What need can I fill
Mm-hmm.
um, out there? How can I help people,
Yeah.
or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and make it about that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, even through COVID, I had to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how to do virtual teaching, so I
Mm-hmm.
had to relearn it and do it. And you're always trying to learn new things and reinventing yourself. I think that's the big one.
Yeah.
But also, somebody pointed out yesterday that I had written something. I think it's in one of your blogs
Mm-hmm.
or spaces,
Yeah.
about a lot of the trainings that I provide. I have to think about what's the return on investment for the student.
Yeah.
So you're always having to think about that. What's the return of investment for your customer? Is what you're providing really going to provide a great ROI? Because if it
Yes.
is, they need it. If it
Mm.
doesn't, then they may not see the need. Or
Yeah.
maybe it does, but they don't see the need. So it's up to you to help them, to show
Mm.
them how this helps their customer
Yeah.
um, with that ROI. So reinvent yourself and think about the
Mm.
bottom line. How is this going to help my customer?
That could be a whole other segment of conversation.
Yeah,
The ROI. 'Cause I think
right.
people miss that so much. I mean, so much is focused on the mechanics, but not so much what are people going to walk away with? The people that you serve, what are they going to really gain from working with you or being exposed to this, what you do?
And early on, I was stuck in the planning mode. I
Mm.
plan, because that's my nature. I want to plan it all out.
Yeah.
Uh, but when are you going to act?
Yes.
So I think a lot of people struggle with that. They want to plan, but they don't actually plan to act.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Like I
Yeah.
said, that could be a whole segment, girl. So let me ask you, how can they learn more about you? Where can they learn more about the work that you do? Yeah, tell us.
They can come visit my website, cognitiveconcepts.org. I think that's where they can learn more about me and what
Okay.
we're doing. We're actually adding a piece where we give back to teachers. So, Coffee with
Mm.
Claudia will start off probably the next school year, where once a month we're going to come and bring coffee to whatever teachers were nominated for this, because I feel like giving back is really important. So,
It
if you
is.
want to sponsor that or come by and just see what we're doing,
Yeah.
please come to my website, and that's the best place. Or you can even call me. You'll
That.
find the phone number on my website. So yeah,
Cool. Thank you. And we're going to make sure all your information is present and when we start sharing this. But thank you. Thank you for your
thank
time, your
you.
insight, and just for sharing space with us today. I appreciate that so much.
No problem. Can I take a picture of us?
Yeah. Oh, are we going to do
Okay.
social media?
Yeah. Here we go. My teeth. There we go.
All
All
right.
right.
All right, girl. You have a wonderful day, and thank you all for joining us. And definitely connect with her. And I'll even say too, like if you know schools, we have a good education educator base that follow us as well. Like consider working with her, referring her, or just even like she said, having a conversation with her. All
Yeah.
right. You guys have a
Yeah.
great day, and you take care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.